In my welcoming video for this class, I shared that I have an intense and long-standing passion with myth. But now you may be asking, why myth? Why is myth important? And aside from a passing interest, why should I care about it? Is it more than just a form of literature? Is it more than something entertaining to read? And the answer is yes. And I would ask you, why not myth? Now, one of the pioneers after Jung who helped popularize, is that a word? Helped popularize mythology was, of course, Joseph Campbell. And he wrote several books, including The Hero with a Thousand Faces. And The Power of Myth, which you see in book form here, was originally a series of interviews on PBS wherein Bill Moyers interviewed Joseph Campbell. And this interview, this book, begins with Moyers asking, why myth? Why should we care about myths? What do they have to do with my life? And again, my response to that would be, why not myth? But Campbell's response was a little bit different. And he said, my first response would be, go on, live your life. It's a good life. You don't need mythology. I don't believe in being interested in a subject because it's said to be important. I believe in being caught up by it somehow or another, but you may find that with a proper introduction, mythology will catch you, and if so, what can it do for you if it does catch you? Now, this is an English class, and we are looking at myth from the point of view of it being literature, which of course it is, but this is a comparative myth class. And why should we compare the myth of various cultures? Now, I want to use a couple of terms here which might be unfamiliar to you. Mythos is the body of myth within a culture. Mythoi is the myth of various cultures. They are both plural in form, but one is the body of one culture, and mythoi is the myth of several cultures. Why compare these mythoi? What are we to gain from it? We are to gain an understanding of the past. And by understanding the past, we can understand the present. And when I say understanding the past, I'm not talking necessarily about a linear progression of events that have happened since humanity became humanity, but rather humanity and how we approached and looked at the universe, the world, and each other. Now, I've done a PowerPoint lesson on the functions of myth and how Joseph Campbell outlines the functions of myth. And I'm not going to go into that in this video because you can look at the PowerPoint. But myth serves a variety of functions, and apparently it always has. The earliest cultures who invented writing, which were the Egyptians, the Sumerians, and the Harappans. Now, Egypt, of course, in the Nile Delta, and Sumeria in Mesopotamia between the Tigris and Euphrates. Now, the Harappans invented a form of writing, but we've not been able to decipher it or translate it, so we don't know what their writing says. The very first writing did not have to do with literature. It was not invented, it was not invented to record the stories, the tales, the myth of a culture, but for business purposes. But later, of course, it was used to record the literature. And so those first myths we have come from Egypt and Sumeria. But there can be absolutely no doubt that before the Egyptians wrote it down, before the Sumerians wrote them down, those myths had already been in existence for hundreds and perhaps even thousands of years. So why is myth important? Because it has been a constant of humans. I won't say since we become humans, but yeah, I'm going to say since we became human. Now, Jung said that archetypes were created by the repeated experiences of humans over a long period of time. repeated so often that they become ingrained in our psyches. Now, whichever theory you buy into, or whether you don't buy into any of the theories, archetypes exist. And they exist in mythoi all over the world. Again, why comparative myth? Because the myth that was in Egypt, the myth that was in Sumeria, the myth that was in Greece, the myth that was in Mesoamerica, South America, North America, Asia, and all points in between, into modern times. Christianity. And of course, Christianity is 2,000 years old, so it's not an ancient religion. Christianity all share the same stories. And not only that, our modern stories are based on these archetypal myths. So why compare myths? To show the similarities in people all over this globe. Now, I'm not going to say universal from the point of view that this world shares these myths. But I'm not going to say that people in near Proxima Centauri have these same myths. But humans do. And every culture on the face of the earth has a mythos. And within those mythos, you will find commonalities. So, we are going to study comparative myth from the point of view of them being literature, absolutely, because they were probably the earliest forms of literature. But we are also going to study them in order to get a wider vista, a huge vista on historical humans, modern humans, and how really the circumstances of humans have changed, but humans really haven't. And the same dreams. Campbell says that myths are the world's dreams. We still dream those still same dreams, and we still quest after the same things. Like Gilgamesh, we quest for immortality. Like Demeter searching for Persephone, we won't give up the search for our loved ones. We are who we were. And those who are going to come after us, they are who we are. And when we cease to have an interest in these myths, we're going to be something other than human. I really, truly believe that. And of course, it depends upon how you define human. Myth has been a constant. It remains a constant. And I think it will be a constant for quite a long time. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to have more to say, of course, but I'm going to stop there. And so why myth? Why not myth?